Hello, I'm Kads, and welcome to today's video. We're in the midst of the Lady Noelle fusion, and we have to participate in the Summon Rush. It's mandatory, so we're going to be pulling some shards in pursuit of the rare from said Summon Rush. Now, unfortunately, as I kind of somewhat predicted, the upper milestone for getting the epic is all the way out at 5,500, which is tied for the highest that we've ever seen, so 11 sacreds worth. But also, the rare itself is up at 3,000 points, which is definitely the highest we've ever seen that, historically speaking, as well. Typically, it's around this range where it's a 2250, maybe 2750 here, or even lower. But yeah, the first time we've seen the rare being up at 3,000 points. I don't think this is going to be a pattern going forward or anything like that for any of the doomsayers out there, because this is a particularly special summon rush where void shards are worth 50% more points, so 180. So practically a primal shard, which is kind of substantial in terms of points. So for people out there chasing the void champions, and there's a lot of or the progressive chances of featuring a lot of like good champions for the Chimera clan boss, you know, it's a good time to potentially try your luck using voids if you wanted to go for Senna, Emberheart, or whoever else. Chris, I think, is also in the pool. But in my case, I'm not really banking on the slim chance of getting one of those void legendaries. Plus, I'm fairly close to void mercy, so I'd rather be pulling during events that feature some of my most wanted void legendaries, and not ones that are much lower down the list or super niche in the case of Chimera utility. Now, the one thing that will differ from my typical strategy when it comes to these types of events is that I will not actually be going out all the way to the maximum amount of snow points, because as I talked about in the free-to-play review for the Yuletide Titan event for this year, you can skip up to 500 points, and thus far I have not skipped any points, and we're kind of coming to the end of the event. There's about a week left or so there's still like five more resets left in terms of points that you can get for free, 20 points a day, so there's about 100 or so there. I guess we could take a look at it. 100 or so points there. I think that it puts me at around like 1850 or so, and then from then on I only would need about 150 points, so I don't necessarily need to pull an extra sacred or two to get all the way out to the snow points. We're just going to get the ones along the way that are mandatory to get the rare champion, and I can skip this, and so I'd still have another 300 points of buffer towards guaranteeing myself Sir Nick. Popping over to the portal, we can take a look at the overall shard count on my account at the moment. 679 on the ancients, 273 on the voids, 54 on the primals, and then 61 on the sacreds, which of course we'll be dipping into today. In terms of the progressive chance events, the champions that I have selected this go round, I know a lot of people would probably want their first, second, or maybe third, fourth, however many newts, but for me, I have a newt. One is enough for me. I do not have a Duchess, and so I'd be keen to get her specifically for my Hard Hydra team. She'd be replacing Rector Drath, who does a similar role with some healing, reviving, and Perfect Veil, but she would add in the benefit of the block debuffs, which is good against all the provokes and the poisons, but also increased attack from my Vrald the Destroyer, who I use in that team as well. And then for the epics, I just kind of picked one at random. I think my Stag Knight is currently +2, so getting some copies of him would be nice towards the +4. Now, when it comes to these progressive chance events, it's always important to acknowledge what the raw odds are of this actually happening. So if I were to get a legendary, there's still only a 7% chance, 7.5% chance that it's actually going to be Duchess. So the odds are very slim, and of course you'd still have to get a legendary in the first place, which is not guaranteed. And what also adds to the relative unlikeliness of getting legendary is, of course, my mercy tracker, which we can pop up on the screen. Link in the description box down below if you'd like a copy of this for yourself. But you can see here we're fresh off the POGO event, my last time pulling sacreds. So we're 1 sacred in. We're going to pull 6, which is going to bring us up to 7 worst case. And so I'm not expecting to get a legendary here at all. So hopefully we get a decent amount of good epics for empowerment and stuff like that. When it comes to who I'd like to pop out of these shards, the tradition is that we focus our RNG on the boosted rate champions. But since we're still kind of riding the high of getting #1 on my wish list, I might as well share what my updated wish list is now that we're probably going to be reciting for the next year or so. A Poison Exploder, Xavier Eleanor is re-promoted to the #1 spot. Molly Tankard moves up from the 3rd slot to the 2nd slot, and then Elva jumps all the way up into the 3rd slot. And I guess as an honorable mention, Duchess is #4 on my most wanted list, so this is not too far off from someone who I'd actually like to see on my account. But of course, the reality is that we're probably going to get a bunch of epics, and that is a-okay. So any and all duplicate epics for empowerment, and of course Stag Knight would be handy just because he is featured on the boosted rates. So without further ado, let's get into the pools. We've got loads of space, we've got a decent amount of cash, and hopefully we can get some pretty decent, probably below average luck. We've been fairly lucky lately. It's the end of the year, so let's kind of end it on a more down-to-earth, humble note here. So 6 sacreds is what we're going to be pulling today, so let's see what we can get. Starting it off cold with an epic Snorting Thug. Absolute trash champion, not even worth really talking about him. Another epic Sacred number 2 is Sepulchre Sentinel, who's pretty nice. I guess kind of like an old school Demon Lord clan boss 4-3 ratio champion with the block debuffs and increased defense on a 4-turn cooldown. But she also does have this pretty neat passive, kind of like Claydna has now, where she can just block some damage. There's a chance that she can block some damage from an incoming attack. Sacred number 3. What do we have here? Another epic, as expected, and it's Anchorite, who might be... No, this is a dupe. This is definitely a dupe. He's one of many epics in the game now that has a 3-turn cooldown, increase the duration of all ally buffs, but he does also notably have this cool fully heal ability on a 4-turn cooldown, which is just kind of niche, but super nice. So he can be, you know, part of your Wixwell team if you're running that against Demon Lord, or any other team where you need buff extension. 3 Sacreds down, 3 to go. Let's keep it going here, riding the epic train all the way home. Are we going to get a Stag Knight along the way here? Jotun is not it. I think he has like a single target HP burn, but really useless epic. Number 5 here, Gerhard the Stone. This is nice. I believe this is empowerment for Archmage Helmet, so I'll take that. That's a +2, effectively epic empowerment. And the last sacred here, last epic for the day, and it is another Endalia who I got during the last session. So I don't intend to empower her. I don't really think she does anything super useful aside from being used for the Mikage fusion. So that is gonna do it. Pretty straightforward as expected. 6 Sacreds were not in Mercy at all, and I did expect to walk away with the 6 epics there. So double checking our math here in the Summon Rush, 3,000 points, pretty straightforward. We're going to collect the rare, and now we are all set up to dive straight into champion trading tomorrow when it goes live and start working on all these rares. So yeah, that's going to do it for this summoning session. We are going to keep this one short and sweet, and honestly, this year's been pretty decent for luck. I did manage to get 2 champions from my wish list. The first being Bad Alcazar, who I think was like number 4 at the time, and then of course Valkyrie being number 1. So can't really complain at all. And yeah, getting a bunch of epics in a row is just par for the course, considering how lucky we've been over the course of the entire year. Let me know in the comment section down below if you guys were pulling your shards for the pursuit of this Summon Rush, either for the sake of the fusion or for the sake of getting snow points to guarantee yourself Sir Nick. And I guess I should also mention that this will be my last live video for the year 2024. I do spend the holidays with my family, and this year is going to be no different. However, this year I am going to try to be a legitimate YouTuber, content creator, and whatnot. So I will have a couple of pre-recorded videos going live over the holidays. So if you have some spare time away from your loved ones, then feel free to check those out. Otherwise, enjoy the time with your loved ones. Have a very Merry Christmas to all of you who celebrate it, or if you don't, then happy holidays. See you all next year, and have a good one.